Hey guys, what's going on? If you're not subscribed to the channel, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to get further videos if you want to hear my thoughts about everything that's cool around the world. So I made a video last week and I talked about Halo Infinite, and I talked about the expectations, the high expectations from fans around the world, and how it just simply is impossible for any developer or gamer to live up to that kind of expectations. My advice was to delay the game, not just to delay the game, but I actually came out and said delay any purchases of any new consoles until next year, because look, everybody's fighting among themselves about when is it going to be released. I mean, Microsoft has just leaked a few things over the last few days, but the bottom line is they're not going to say what the price of the console is. They are going to wait for Sony, and rightly so. Sony are the market leaders. Sony is the one that's going to stick out their foot. Microsoft, as I said, has been sticking their foot out for years. They have, and all Sony have done is taken advantage of that. I talked before about how Microsoft's conference at E3 was always on a Sunday. Sony could then have 24 hours to think about how they could clap and refine their conference to cater for what Microsoft did. And they did it because at the end of the day, there's a difference between innovative. Innovativeness comes from Microsoft, innovativeness comes from Nintendo, and Sony have been quite decent in terms of innovation, but they've more been opportunists in the way of winning things like E3 and doing something different from their partners. But right now, Sony is so far away from what Microsoft's console is, as far as being a proper multimedia console with massive beneficial services to the gamer. It almost makes the PlayStation 5 look anti-gamer. I mean, let's run down the list, shall we? First of all, PlayStation games are delivered in the same way that they have been for years. You know, on a disc, you can download them now, and that's it. The game comes out, you pay full price, and there you go. With Microsoft, that's not actually the case now. With their massive services, not only do you pay a monthly subscription, but all your first party games are included in that. And that includes the 10 that was in showcase last week. So imagine that. No purchases. And even, guys, if you wanted to purchase the game, you can do it at a reduced price. So gone are the days when you're paying 50, 60 bucks for a brand new game on Microsoft's console. That's number one. Number two, because the Xbox is more powerful, all third-party games, Call of Duty, Destiny, FIFA, Madden, you name it, Assassin's Creed, every game that you buy is going to look and play better on the Xbox. Yeah, that's just a fact. We can see that because of what's happening with the Xbox One X now. The second thing is xCloud. xCloud beta has just launched today, so those people who have been sent invites can actually go and start to see what that looks like at the moment. And so many people are coming out saying, guess who's going to win the next console war? Sony. Well, I'm afraid the game has changed. It just doesn't work that way anymore. And I'll tell you why. It's because console sales don't necessarily tell you about anybody's services and about how the structure works for gamers as a whole. Microsoft have always had a higher games to console ratio than Sony in many generations. It's just a fact. And a lot of that comes down to, as I said, third party games. I mean, look at the Xbox 360, look at the original Xbox. Both of those consoles were fantastically driven as far as first party goes. But Sony has always had the benefit of making great first party games, and that's where Sony have always had an advantage as well. And I think that that advantage for Sony will continue to happen, but then that's something Microsoft also has with all the 15 first party houses. They will no longer be trailing behind as far as lack of first party content, but Sony is the market leader. They'll always be there and thereabouts. But unfortunately, if you own a PlayStation 5, yes, you'll be able to have 4K at 60 frames for the first time, because the PlayStation Pro never delivered that. But you'll be able to play their fantastic library and software. So, you know, it's going to be a goodbye PlayStation 5. It's going to be exactly what it says on the tin, a games console that plays first-party Sony games. And if that's what you want, that's great, and you'll continue to enjoy your PlayStation gaming success. But the Xbox is going to be a completely different kettle of fish. And that's the reason why so much people are looking at it and saying, well, you know what? This might be the console for me this generation. But a few things have started to leak through the cracks, and the first thing is that Sony, again, some people are calling them anti-gamer, because they are saying that your PlayStation 4 controller will not work with your PlayStation 5 console. So it's a little bit unfair, isn't it? I mean, we know everything with Xbox is backward and forward compatible, and Sony are doing their best in order for them to make money any way that they can. It's out of the 100 million gamers who have a PlayStation 4, if someone has a PlayStation 5 console and there's a multiplayer game on there and you say, you know, come over to my house and if you want to play my PlayStation 5, bring your controller for your PlayStation 4, that would something that would normally work in the past. But this time, that ain't going to work. For you to have that happen, you're going to have to go out and buy a brand new controller for what, 60, 70 bucks? And look, Nintendo faced a lot of criticism for this with the Switch, and now you can use GameCube controllers. So there's a lot of flexibility in terms of where you can go with your consoles, but we can't see that at the moment with Sony. More updates is there's been a leak of the Xbox Series S. Somebody was able to purchase a white controller, and on the back of the controller you can specifically say it says for Xbox Series X and S. So that pretty much confirms what is the worst kept secret in gaming, that Microsoft not only will be able to undercut the PlayStation 5 with its big boy, the Xbox Series X, but with the small boy, they're able to look at the gamers for 1080p 60 frames or 1080p 120 frames, and they'll be able to look at selling that somewhere around 199 or 250 bucks. And that is going to be really flying off the shelf for gamers. So really looking forward to seeing what they do and how they surprise everybody with their packages. But it really seems like Microsoft are listening to the gamers and they've got fantastic packages out. And as for listening to the gamers, as I said, the Halo, whole thing about Halo Infinite, it wasn't ready. And there's no way that they would have got that ready for the next 3 months in November to say, here you go, guys. Here's a game that we haven't finished because of COVID. We've been delayed 6 months, but here it is anyway. That just wasn't going to work for me, and that's why I said to you guys, I'm going to stay and wait for 6 months before I purchase this thing, but they need to delay, and that's exactly what they've done. So well done, Microsoft. You've done the smart thing there, and you've not only that, but it also give you the time to implement the shock news that you brought out last week, which was that Halo Infinite is going to be available in 120 frames. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you'll be able to play it not only at 60 frames, but actually double the frame rate of that. And this is the reason why I said to you guys, it's almost like it's leaving PC gaming in the wake now. You know, everyone was able to talk about how PC games can give you all these magnificent frame rates. Not only are they going to give you the massive frame rates like what PC users have had for decades, but now you'll be able to get that with quality graphics, shadow and lightning, ray tracing, etc. So it's almost like for me, that's the reason why I said to you guys, my PC gaming days are kind of done at the moment, and that's because I just don't see a reason to buy one. I plug and play, use my console on a 65-inch TV, 4K, OLED, and with 120 frames. The only thing, guys, is ensure that you have a HDMI jack, because otherwise it won't work. You'll never get the frame rates to work with that. But if you do, and you're going to have that, then you'll enjoy some amazing gaming. So guys, I'm going to leave it right there. So leave your comments in the comment section below and let me know what you guys think about it. It's a brave, bold move from Microsoft, and what we're expecting to see from them moving down the road is for them to wait for Sony to put the price out. So if Sony goes 500 bucks, Microsoft's going to go 450 bucks. So if Sony goes 450 bucks, Microsoft's going to go 400 bucks. Whatever the case, whatever it needs to take to win this, that's what Xbox are going to do. And you can believe that they're in it to win it. And not just that, but remember, the games are also available on PC, so you don't necessarily have to buy an Xbox. This is the reason why I talked about console war in terms of console sales. Only Sony fans really talk about that, because with Microsoft, they're really looking for you to buy their service. Once you have their service, you can use it on your tablet, on your phone, on an Xbox, on a PC. They don't really care. And you also have to remember as well, is Sony first-party games as well, a lot of them are going to be available on PC. So that means more money in Microsoft's pocket as far as royalty goes. So either way you look at it, Microsoft are going to be selling a lot of games and making money from that, from their first-party guys. They're going to be selling a lot of subscriptions to xCloud and Game Pass. And that's really the way of the world. They've got guaranteed money. If you buy a game at 1 month, then that is the price of the game and that's it. But if you subscribe to a service, that service is ongoing, and that money will keep on ticking over and ticking over and ticking over. And this is the reason why they can afford to lose $50 on the price of a console, because they will gain it in the next 12 months on their services. And that is smart business. And look, I always said this from day one. I said, you know, hardware, software, Sony is a hardware company. What they do is they make hardware, you know, their TVs, their Blu-ray players, and everything else, you know, mobile phones, etc. Sony is a hardware company, always have been, always will be. They're not really adept at software. And this is the reason why, you know, when OpenGL and all that stuff came out, it was always kind of bettered by DirectX, and DirectX 13 now coming out is going to also give Microsoft a huge advantage, and it's just more user friendly, developer friendly, and it's an API that everybody would be used to. So if you're making one game, it easily translates from Xbox to PC, and if you're making it from Xbox Series X to Xbox One X to Xbox One, the backward compatibility will work no different it does on a PC itself, where it's the lowest common denominator. And yes, sometimes that might hurt, but the benefit is that everybody will be able to have the games. So I'll leave it right there, guys. Check with you guys later. Peace out.